Hey, Podcast America, welcome to another episode of Philosophy Hour with the Enlightened Neanderthals. Episode
99?
Is it 99?
We're close to that 100 banger, I think.
I think we're either 99 or 100 right now.
I think that's 99.
All right. By the way, brought to you by my company, Training Northwest. By the time this episode drops, you'll have like a day to sign up for Carbine Fundamentals if you're interested. And then I don't think all that's left on the calendar for registration after that is I have a bolt gun class specifically for hunters coming up in early October, because I know that a week before the season opens is when people think about, oh, fuck, I haven't zeroed my rifle.
Yeah, time to call Tobin.
Yeah. So
Can I get a
Training Northwest LLC.com. And for you guys who are deer and elk hunters using a modern rifle, spending a couple hours kind of drilling down on your marksmanship fundamentals is going to be well worth your time and money, because I can pretty well, a lot of it is dependent on your own ability to accept direction. But let's say you are a pliable, learnable person. I can get you pretty tight at 100 yards and to where you have a high confidence of hitting an animal's kill zone at 200 yards in that 3-hour lesson. So again, Training Northwest LLC.com, and that's in October.
Oh man, what if I wanted to put an optic on my rifle?
If you want to put an optic on your rifle, thank you, Mike. I am a dealer of Vortex Optics. I have some kind of red dots and LPVOs in stock. I don't carry a lot of like hunting or long range precision type stuff in stock. However, it's a quick phone call away from being in the mail. So if you want to support a small local company in Snohomish County, Washington, get a hold of me at trainingnorthwest@protonmail.com, or you can see what's available under the Pro Shop tab on my website. And if you are local,
hunting though, maybe
hang on. If you're local and you buy an optic from me, you get to come out to the range and zero too. So I don't want you guys buying a scope and then having to figure out where to go to zero. We will get you all set up, and actually I mount and level them as well. So you get a correct. I help you fit it, I help you mount it, I level it, and then I help you zero it.
What if I got this sweet scope from you? I took one of your classes. You mounted it on my gun before. Now I'm Rambo for deer. I'm out there to kill. But it's like, God, there's an animal just a little too far past my scope. But I can see there's something out there. Could I buy other forms of glass through you?
Oh, yeah. Anything.
Binos or even a spotting scope, you're saying?
Fucking A.
And test it out on your range?
Yeah, no shit.
Let me
everything in the Vortex catalog is available.
That's right.
But a lot of it I just don't keep in stock because I don't have that kind of budget.
Yeah, shipping's quick these days.
Yes, and it's in the mail as ASAP.
Yep.
All right, Mike, this was a good episode. We went deep.
Oh, this everywhere.
Is a deep rabbit hole episode. Guys, buckle your chin straps. Might want to smoke a little bit before you start this one if you want to be able to understand what the fuck we're talking about.
Yep.
Or don't. Or don't.
Or try and figure it out and write us and let me know what, because I have no clue what the point of that was.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
We're on first recording at the, I'm going to go ahead and call this the Training Northwest Adventure Headquarters.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. And it's going to take a while to get everything sort of put away and situated, but up out there is all the things. There's going to be the weight room, because I preach fitness. There's going to be all the standard garage stuff for dirt bikes and auto repair. There's the workshop on the side there with all the I think that's going to become the actual podcast studio.
/ gun room, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
/ maintenance shop / hangout /
Now, where do you put the stripper pole? Because Jordan's been taking those classes lately.
I know.
That
we'll have
pole
to see,
dancing fitness.
I got to let him. Does he want brass or stainless steel? And then after that, we'll make a decision.
Dude, he don't care what it is. He can polish any type of pole.
As long as we're throwing dollar bills at him, he's happy.
Yeah. Dude, a quarter. Yeah. Do you remember in Canada? You ever go to a strip club in Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how they had dollar coins?
Loonies.
Yeah.
Oh, toonies.
Am I supposed to throw those at them?
Looney toonies?
Yeah.
I think they're called toonies.
Toonies, I think. Yeah.
You get kicked out. You get kicked out when you throw the toonies at the strippers.
We'll
snap them like you used to do with like pennies. Like, choo. Now there was a place right across the border in Surrey that they would do Monday Night Football on a big screen, and then anytime there was a commercial break, like a stripper would come out and dance.
Hell yeah.
And as like 22-year-olds, it was a cool novelty.
Yeah.
But that Canada today for that.
No, not at all. I remember first time I went to a strip club was in Canada with my high school girlfriend.
Oh shit!
And we went there and we saw a lady.
How much did she make in one night?
Yeah, right. Paid for the trip.
Yeah.
Now this lady came on stage and she stuck like flaming nipple ring. Like she had pierced nipples, but she stuck something through her nipple and lit it on fire on both sides and danced around. Right. I've never been so turned on.
Parlor tricks.
I love fire now.
Yeah. Huh. Well, other than Canadian strip clubs, I've had my head completely down in the sand, moving all our shit. I know the Israelis and the Iranians are shooting at each other. Things are fixing to flare up. Trump is slowly sliding Palantir in the back door while everybody's paying attention to riots and whatnot. And I fucking warned everybody, if you've been listening to this show for a while, I said Trump is going to come in here and advance the surveillance state based on the threat of quote unquote illegal immigrants. Yeah. And it's happening right now.
Oh yeah.
So told you so.
Well, also in that, what is it? The bigger, better bill.
Oh, big. How can a bill be big and beautiful?
Beautiful bill.
All the people, all you fucks. I mean, I voted for Trump too because the alternate was not good, but I did not believe that he was our savior. And everybody who voted for Trump, I think, is on the small government bandwagon.
Yes.
And here he is touting his bill as big. There is no such thing as a big, beautiful bill. That right there is an oxymoron. It is not possible.
No,
it's
just
all. More out of control government. It's more of the same shit. It's a different public facing message for the right wing people, but it's all the same shit.
Well, and then all the AI stuff that's written into it too, and that states don't have sovereignty against AI for 10 years or something weird, like they can't rebuttal it.
It's unreal.
So yeah, I don't really like that.
I can't really make much commentary on it because I have not been paying that much attention.
Yeah, you're a man of business in life.
I've
you got a lot going on right now.
Well, I've also gone like internal to where I don't listen to anybody else's podcast. I don't listen
except
to
ours, just on repeat,
just enough to edit it. I listened to the Philosophy Hour one all the way through because I wanted to just hear if we sounded like retarded or
it's not bad, dude. I think we're fine. Don't worry. Fair. There's far more retarded people.
For a couple of guys missing a few chromosomes here and there, I think we're doing all right.
Or have an extra.
Yeah, but I've literally, and I've probably said it on here before, I've gotten to where the only external voices I will allow are music and books, because books, I feel like our brain does not process information fast enough to be like, you're supposed to be on your Instagram or your Twitter just scrolling, and it's like doom, doom, doom. Here's one that makes you happy. Here's one that makes you angry, angry, doom, doom, doom. And you start to wonder, am I downloading my opinions and my thoughts, or am I having my own thoughts and opinions? And so in order to make sure that I'm having my own thoughts and opinions, I have sworn off almost all. I'll still get on Instagram to post like marketing stuff for Training Northwest, or just here and there, like put a story up just for fun. Yeah. But I don't really scroll, and I'll check, and I don't check I'll check messages. People send videos, but if I watched all the videos people sent, I do nothing but watch videos. So if you guys are sending me videos, just know I don't watch them. Sorry. But I don't want any information. I don't want any thoughts that are not mine entering my head. And the only way I can think of to do that is to cut out all the external noise, which is this little black mirror in front of you that everybody sits there and scrolls away on their chosen platform and downloads all their opinions.
Well, don't you think it's all right to have thoughts come into your head as long as they're like kind of an articulated or it's like, I don't care about mundane or stuff that doesn't apply to kind of my life. I want to see like a good argument or someone's analysis or take on this situation.
Yes. I'm down with all that, but I think it should come from the written word, because I think our brains can't, when you're just going, Instagram post or Twitter post by post, it's too much too fast. And I think our brains need, like, as humans, we need time to think and process.
Digest
and
it, yeah.
You read a couple chapters and then you go lay in the grass and think about it. Like, what do I, and then that's where you have your own thoughts, because the problem with people who just sit there and scroll and scroll and scroll, and I mean, guys, if you have an iPhone, you have that little screen time thing where you swipe over and it'll tell you how much time you spent online. If you have like hours, if you're over 1 hour of social media, then you have to ask yourself, am I having my own thoughts, or am I just scrolling through so that some influencer can tell me what to think? Like I can open up my Instagram, right? We don't really get very good service out here, but let's see what my open up Instagram is going to show me. We got, here we go. Once branded the anti-war candidate, Donald Trump is now openly cheering Israel's deadly escalation against Iran. Clearly it's listening to me, right? So here's fear. Here's an advertisement for a KTM dirt bike. That's going to land very well. Buy one of those. Yeah. Here is...
The algorithm's working.
And now it's not loading. Scientists develop ultra-small brain computer interface that fits between hair follicles for mind-controlled technology. There's more fear. There's advertisements.
Or a solid business plan.
It's not loading because we're out in the boonies now, which is actually awesome. It's what I wanted. I don't want connection. I want less connection, not more.
Yeah.
But you get the point. Like, okay, here you open Instagram. Here's fear. Here's advertising, and then every once in a while they'll mix in something that makes you kind of happy, just to sort of like keep you going.
Yeah.
But really, those posts that elicit a negative reaction, either like motherfucker, you see what Joe Biden's doing again, or motherfucker, you see what Donald Trump's doing today. Those are the ones that keep you, like, they get you angry and then they pull you in. And actually, I said it on one of our last episodes that your attention is the golden nugget.
Yeah.
So then your attention gets sucked into that phone because you're just scrolling. And now your attention is not on your own thoughts in your own mind. And I think that in 2025, we have completely lost our ability to just go lay in the grass, stare at the sky, and have our own thoughts, because everybody starts to fidget, and then immediately they want to pull out their phone and get distracted.
Well, I think everyone still has ability to have their own thoughts, but it's like a muscle.
But they don't
flex
like it. It doesn't feel good to lay still and be in that stillness.
But everyone still has ability. It comes back
they
like
have
doing
ability,
push-ups.
But it comes so much slower that you have to force yourself. You have to be like, okay, I am not doing electronic information. I'm doing, again, books.
Yeah.
Information comes at a much slower pace, and then you can lay down and think about it and have your own thoughts, because the human mind works at a much slower pace.
Yeah.
It has to work things out and integrate them and kind of figure it all out.
Well, until we all get uplinked with Elon's chip, dude, Neuralink, and then I'm able to read a book instantly. And then you're lagging behind in the grass over there, and
maybe. But at that point, are you even having independent thoughts, or is Elon putting your thoughts into your head through Neuralink?
I think it's like, remember when they're trying to make artificial hearts, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine if your heart was working normal, but they figured out a way to like help out your circulatory system. Yep. They put in an extra pump
like a
in
mechanical
there.
Pump.
Yeah. And what would that do? That would just take less pressure off your heart and create an ability for your body to maybe have better blood flow or something like that. I think what they're trying to do is just expand. I think kind of like those neural links are going to be able to just up your CPU power, how fast you can process things, and it won't necessarily take over. Like, this is how you think, because that would have to be your whole new operating system.
Know? How can you guarantee that? You're literally letting something into your brain that downloads information. Like, there is zero fucking chance that I am allowing that into my body.
I'm letting it happen first. I'll be the guy that signed up for it.
I want the app that controls Mike Kozak. You're going to be fucking masturbating down on 99 in front of the Home Depot. People are like, what the fuck? What happened to Mike? You'd be like, I got control of the remote. I just dumped my fucking beer everywhere.
We haven't even installed the chip in them yet. Look at them go. Yeah, it'll be horrible.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Nah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we'll all be sitting in a truck in the parking lot, like, all right, let me have next turn.
But it's like having a pacemaker or things like that.
So here's the thought. You know how people, like, you hear these stories of people who get a heart transplant, and then, like, it's like a kid dies in a car accident when he's 16. And then, the person who receives the heart gets the memories, but then the parents of the child who passed, whose heart is now transplanted into somebody, they have like this feeling of recognition towards this complete stranger.
Yeah.
Which kind of shows you a little something about what the heart is. And if you were to replace it with a straight mechanic, that's probably why you cannot replace a human heart with a mechanical pump.
Didn't they do a guy with a pig heart for like 3 months or 3 weeks?
I know they use pig valves.
Pig valves?
Like
I thought they did a full heart on someone, but it lasted 4 days maybe in Russia or somewhere.
Yeah, he started eating all kinds of like
rotten
vegetables. And
dude, his tail got curly.
Yeah.
What? Now, I think, but you hear about those with other things too, besides the heart, like people getting kidneys or like liver stuff, and people have weird phantom things or feelings or sensations, or all of a sudden they like a food that they haven't liked in the past.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, that's someone's.
I have a friend who got in a gnarly motorcycle accident, almost died, and now he has a Boston accent.
Oh, really?
He's from here. It's the weirdest fucking thing.
Do you remember that lady that got a brain injury and she had like a Chinese accent, like Mandarin?
Oh, for real?
Was she 100%.
Speaking Mandarin or just speaking English with an accent?
It seems so racist, but she developed an accent.
That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, it was the weirdest. Like, I knew that he had been in the accident. I knew he'd been in the hospital for a while. And then when I finally saw him, I was like, I don't remember. Are you from Boston? I don't remember you. He's like, no, man. I fucking got in that.
I took a wicked bad crash.
When I came out of my coma, I had a fucking Boston accent. I don't know where the fuck this came from.
Do you think it's like it's knocking your antenna so hard, like you're tuning into like the Northeast, and like that's because you hear stories of that, like people can all of a sudden like do math or play the piano or something like that.
Maybe this is the secret. I'm gonna go wreck my dirt bike this afternoon and see what kind of savant shit I can come up with.
He's really good at drooling. I mean, he has got that unlocked. That's a tough one, man. I feel like that's a gray zone. You want just enough trauma
to setting up different, like set up a piano in the driveway and just smash a car into it and see, like, maybe we'll learn how to play piano.
It's like, all right, you get hit in the head with a cue ball. It's like you don't get a lot of skills. A bowling ball. Yeah. All right, now we're starting to upgrade. I think there's a progression to this. That is a weird thing. But the brain is
get hit in the head with a bowling ball and you wake up, you're really into nachos and beer. It's like all you can eat.
I must have been hit as a toddler. Huh? Yeah. But it is weird to think that, like,
start smoking Marby Reds. Like, you don't smoke. Like, I can't explain it.
I'm a hard pack guy now. Just look at me. I'm rugged.
Yeah.
But it is weird that, those stories do exist all the time of people getting injured, like a head injury, and they take on these new traits or aspects. And it's like we're kind of talking about getting like a neural link implanted in you. It's like maybe there is an OS, like an operating system or software that they have to, that maybe would change you a little. But in the same way, it's like, does a pacemaker change you? It keeps your heart going through an electrical shock. Does that change you as a person? Because, well, now normally your heart wouldn't have beat and you'd probably be dead. But this technology is keeping you alive.
Yeah, well, hang on. You said something interesting about the human operating system, which I'm going to tell you absolutely exists.
Yeah.
And that's, we've talked about this before a little bit. When I talk about social programming, and especially plant medicine, in particular, psilocybin affects what doctors call your default base or your default mode network, which means your default behaviors that have been you can think of behavior as social programming that has been installed to you over your lifetime. And what psilocybin does is it increases the neuroplasticity of your nervous system and your brain and your personality. And so you can actually alter that default mode network so that behaviors that were not serving you in the past, you can sort of, through mushroom journeys, you can access that programming, and you can literally remove and delete programs that no longer serve you. And that is why plant medicine is so effective at helping people sort of eliminate traumas, is a lot of your behavioral programming is born of those traumas. And like you experience whatever it is that you experience, and then you develop a behavior to protect you from that in the future. And a lot of times those behaviors are toxic because it's just like a knee-jerk reaction that now it's there and you're stuck with it forever. And you don't really understand it because we have not been taught how to understand our own behavior. And so when you do these plant medicine journeys, psilocybin in particular works on the mind system, the operating system of the human body, and you can access your social programming. And that's a lot of what I have been learning over the last 2 years, and what is coming more and more, and I'm going to start helping other people with, is how to access their own social programs and either maximize the ones that are good, eliminate the ones that do not serve you. And you can, what we are sitting in right here is an external reflection of all of the internal changes that I've been making over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So my life has dramatically turned around, and we're sitting here in the evidence of it. But it's been done by changing my social programming.
Yeah. Well, then that kind of goes to like the argument of nurture and nature. You know, it's like these two competing forces. And yeah, you can have your nurture aspect is, you know, you have an event or something that happens to you and it forever changes you due to, like you said, emotionally encoding or protecting or setting up walls and barriers. So like the other aspect of that would be the nature, your inherent who you are as like you're just born being this person and these tendencies. Do you think those things can get zapped too?
No, because those are oh boy, okay,
because that's an operating system too.
No.
It's
okay.
written in.
So this is very important though. You are nailing it. Is there's a statement, I am. Like if you were to, I wish I had a whiteboard and we had this all on video, because I would draw two columns, one that says I am and one that says I do. And then I would ask you to write words that describe your personality, good and bad. So when I did, Christy actually was the first person who drew that. She drew this little diagram for me and she's like, okay, now I want you to give me words that describe you. And I was like, okay, hardworking, patriotic, intelligent, blah, 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 on and on. I'm trying to think of like impatient. Here's a bad one. And it doesn't even matter because really what was profound was the good ones. And so she went, okay, which of these fall under I am versus I do? And I was like, oh shit, because I wasn't born patriotic. Patriotic was something I had to learn to do. And I wasn't born hardworking. I am not hardworking. I learned to do hardworking. And so as you start to get back, like there is a long road back to getting my words all twisted. One of the reasons I don't want external ideas entering my mind is I am trying hard to get back to I am. And when I'm staring at my phone, scrolling through other people's that post was made by somebody trying to influence other people's thoughts, right? That's the only reason you post something. And so if I'm trying to get back to I am, and there is very little that falls under the I am category, that is your original operating system. And getting back to that I am is where you will find your happiness, because in that is where you find, like, you start to let go of things that you did to impress your parents, or things that you did to impress friends, or that you thought that girls would like, or whatever. And you start getting back to the things that make you happy. Only you. And it doesn't really matter if other people approve or disapprove or whatever. Getting back to that I am is the most critical thing I think any person can do. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
And that's actually, we haven't really started yet, but with all of what we are learning, Christy and I, through the plant medicine journeys, and now that we we're not like fully qualified, but we assist. And we both have some real gifts in that space. And we are helping people deprogram themselves and get back to I am.
Yeah. So what was it again? It was I am and I do.
I am and I do. And everybody at home should start write this on a piece of paper, write
but
two
then
columns.
Wouldn't doing also correlate to who you become? Like if you do scrolling on your phone, now I am addicted to my phone.
Were you born addicted to your phone?
No, you're born a blank slate.
Exactly.
But the more you do.
But there are things that made you legitimate. Like, so again, social programming and the I am, over the last couple of years, like I've started to revert back to like the kid I was in high school. Like I was kind of like a mix of redneck hippie, but then I joined the Army, and that's all the social programming. Cut your hair this way, wear your clothes this way, speak this, like everybody speaks the same, everybody cuts their hair the same. So you have all these social programs that are installed to you in the Army, and you lose track of who you were. And the same thing, like even like social pressure when you're a kid in high school, you start like wearing the clothes that are trendy. I don't know, you want to drive a car that girls like, or you want to hang out with other kids who you think make you look cool so the girls will like you. You know what I mean? There's all these like social programming things, and you sort of lose track of who you are. But when I was a kid in high school, all I really wanted to do was be out in the woods with a little bit of marijuana and a .22 rifle. And guess what I'm doing with most of my spare time now that I'm 45 years old and getting back to I am. And you know what?
That 1022.
I'm enjoying the shit out of myself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if people look at that and go like, well, that's lame. You're just wasting your time. It's like, but I'm happy as fuck.
Well, that's what the goal of anyone. I think that's what true happiness is, you being content in the things that you do. I mean, you hear so many stories of people trying to keep up with the Joneses. Like, look, Wolf of Wall Street style. I need this bigger house. I need this helicopter. I need the hotter wife. I need the biggest bank account.
And the happiest I ever am is when we're in, is about day 6 in deer camp. Hadn't had a shower in a while, been eating the same smell, you know what I mean? We're eating hot dogs and canned beans, but we're out in the woods where there's no distractions. We're just there being.
Yeah.
We're doing some, and we wouldn't be doing that unless we legitimately loved it.
Yeah.
So it's something that legitimately speaks to us. It has no distraction. We just go do it for 8 days, and it's the happiest I ever am.
But there are things, too, of material possession and playing into the system a little bit, like
there's a balance. There's a balance.
Yeah.
100% there's a balance, but also we manifested this house through both of us recentered ourselves into our I am, and then it's literally you start manifesting this shit because we saw that we did it. It's not that we said, hey, we want to live in like a rich person's sort of surroundings. What we wanted a place that we can share with people who are going through some of the same struggles with like post-traumatic stress that we both went through. And we want a place where our kids can come and be and just feel like still and happy and have access to nature. And then also because we go every other week, we have a week with all the kids, and then we have a week with no kids, and then we have a week with all the kids and a week with no kids.
Nice.
So in those weeks with no kids, we want to be able to share this with other people who are in need of some deprogramming or in need of a little bit of like help. And so that is what this place is to us. And once we got very centered on ourselves, not centered as in like self-centered, but centered as in
balance.
We found our balance point.
Yeah.
And then we got real clear in what we wanted to do. The fucking universe delivered this place to our front door, or delivered us to the front door of this place.
Yeah. Well, that's also like cause and effect. Like you, through nurture nature, like what we're kind of talking about, realizing what maybe you thought was a way of life that you needed to live, and then you found a new purpose or a new passion or a new flair for life or simplicity that made it better. But in doing so, like you address, here are problems. This is the cause, and the effect of addressing the cause is this. You know, it's like it can't happen without these problems. Like to have like would be the best way to say it. Like taking something as horrible as like World War II and like say concentration camps, right? It's a horrible, disingenuous, horrific type of thing to happen. But like in doing so and having such a horrible thing happen, isn't it good to recognize that people, the full spectrum of human beings, can be all over the board? And that you can get human beings that get so downtrodden, so lost, their country fell apart, and for us to be great, we have to do these wretched things in the name of doing something good. Like, I think there is kind of to get to these mountaintops, you have to suffer.
World War II.
But to get to these mountaintops, you have to suffer. As much as it's like, yes, it's programming, but it's like, goddamn, without that programming, would you be who you are?
I don't know that I'd appreciate it because I had to feel the low to be...
feel the high.
Right. We live in a binary universe of contrast, right? So right, left, up, down, hot, cold, good, bad. And in order to feel the high, you're right. In order to feel the high highs, you also have to experience the low lows.
And it's almost like you need to have programming. Like you need to have fucked up situations to become the person that rises up. If everything's just like borderline or flat, it's always going to be flat.
If you lived a flatline life, it wouldn't be that interesting.
Exactly. Philosophy Doc.
Philosophy Hour with Mike and Tobin here on, I think we said PBS last time. I think it's NPR. Technically.
Yeah,
you think
true.
NPR would hire us?
No, absolutely not. Dude, speaking of them, did you hear Ken Burns on Rogan?
I started to listen to it, and then I got distracted. We were moving.
Oh, it was really
Was it really good? All right,
Yeah.
I'll finish it.
But it's also like, I don't have 24 hours to spend on the history of baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but I did say, like, I won't listen to podcasts with like fiery political people, but someone like Ken Burns is like, oh yes, this one I'll listen to.
Yeah, very unique. Yeah.
And he's more of like, he's talking about his history and Americana, and like he has all these interesting documentaries about the Civil War documentary he made, and then the Vietnam War one are so fucking good.
Very good.
And he's making one about the revolution.
Yeah,
it's
supposed to come out,
yes,
I think, this fall. That one I'm excited.
I wonder if that'll be in theaters.
I'm sure it's
IMAX maybe? Oh, Enlightened Neanderthal, trip to the IMAX.
But how long would it be? Aren't all of his series 24 parts?
20 hours. We got to get a tent and a sleeping bag, lots of beer. We're going to be in that IMAX theater for a while.
Dude, what was that old, where they like put the eye drops in you and keep your eyes open, you know?
With MK Ultra training.
Yeah, exactly. Watch this film.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Well, hang on. Okay, so since I dumped my beer out, let's take a quick break. Maybe we'll hit cruising altitude. I don't know. We'll be back in a little bit.
All
right, we're back. And we had a couple interesting things come up there while we were refreshing.
Well, first, I am amazed that the West Coast is not covered in a haze of fire and pride flags and like the whole left. The riots from, No King's Day or?
Well, there's the No King's Day, which I'm loosely aware of, but also we've had a really early summer, so it's been hot. It usually doesn't stop raining here until end of June, but we've had a hot, dry spring, and so the wildfire season is going to be coming. And I 100% believe those are intentionally set. And
there's some already here.
Are they already starting?
There's a couple in Canada, and there's been a few in Washington.
Yep.
There's just one over in like Cle Elum,
yes.
I think.
There's satellite imagery of the big one in Canada last year. All the hot spots started in a nice straight line from northwest to southeast, all at the same time.
Okay.
And I have suspected for years that it's activists, political activists, who set these fires to intentionally drive a narrative. And I still believe that. So I think we are in for a summer of wildfires just due to the early
ridgetop runners.
Yeah, our early global warming here. Because, you know what I mean? This is part of the Greta Thunberg narrative that the earth warming up is a bad thing, which, by the way, it's not. And a little extra CO2 in the air is a bad thing, which it's not, because that's what fucking plants live on.
That's true. It's the greenest it's ever been.
When the earth warms and CO2 increases, plant life thrives. And when plant life thrives, guess what happens to mammals, including humans? We also fucking thrive.
Yeah. So
really, it's a false narrative. We got way off on a tangent here. I'm going on my fucking climate change rant. Yeah. It's a false narrative that a warming Earth is a bad thing. What we don't want is for the Earth to cool into another ice age.
Frozen tundra is a tough one too, but a scorching hot desert's a bad one too. I think it's
there's plenty of places that I don't think the deserts are created by heat, right? Because there's plenty of equatorial places that are covered in rainforest like this.
Yeah.
So deserts exist, and no, they are not. They're not a place you want to inhabit in an ice age either. Like a frozen desert, like Colorado.
Yeah,
that's not a hospitable place either.
But that's kind of the idea of like an ice age, right? Or just like an inhospitable planet that you live on, right? Mm-hmm. So say like the ice age, like the poles are always going to be the coldest, it seems like. And where the sun comes around in the middle, it's always the warmest, right? Mm-hmm. And so to have like both polar areas covered in ice pushing all the way to the equator, it creates only a band of like living, right? Yeah. But as temperature gets more, comfortable, like a little bit of hot and a little bit of cold, that's where you see a lot of things thrive, I feel like. Where you see problems is when it's radical change. Any type of radical change in environment is either caused by like an internal volcano, like the earth burping, like a massive plate shift and Earth burps and goes off. You have a crazy volcano. You have something hit you.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to I mean, we're floating around.
Go through the Kuiper Belt twice a year.
Yeah, so something hitting you is going to throw off your environment. I feel like maybe like you hear about things that'll speed up change too. Like from the last ice ages, like things were trapped that were alive, and then it gets colder. Like the dinosaurs are around 65 million years ago, right? That's super long time ago. But then they die off, and we go into ice ages like 19 million years ago.
Every 12, well, no, not every 12,000 years, but there's a cataclysmic event every 12,000 years.
But something happens. But it traps all that in ice. And it covers all that life and plant and all those materials, and you get certain areas.
Makes you wonder what's frozen under the ice caps like in Antarctica.
But they're thawing out now.
Maybe that's why you're not allowed. Was it the 88th parallel you're not allowed past?
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
If you were a pilot, you are not allowed. Let's say you're
restricted airspace.
Yes. No, and nor can you sail a ship. So you can't take like your boat and go put it in the water down in Patagonia and then sail to Antarctica. There's one of the lines of latitude. I think it may be the 88th, or maybe
it's because everyone's like, we do not want to go this far to rescue anyone in this cold of weather. Don't fly past here.
Yeah.
You know what it takes to go out in a dinghy out there?
But I do wonder, like, when was the last time the South Pole did not have ice on it? How many thousands of years ago? And what would we find if we could magically like melt all that ice tomorrow?
Well, I think
would you find civilization? Would you find like some crazy exotic animal remains, more dinosaur? Would you find like human beings and triceratops living together?
But the land of the South Pole has not always been there. Like as Pangea and land shifts throughout, the South Pole
could have migrated.
So it could have, who knows?
Either
it
way,
was where Hawaii was.
Yeah, we find some Egyptian fucking pyramids.
But I do think they have found evidence of plant matter. Like Hawaii did have like ferns or like kind of like our ferns. It's not a hot fern. It's, this is a subtropical rainforest. Yeah. It's cold, but it rains all the time, and we got this weird little biome.
Have you ever zoomed out on Google Earth and looked at North Africa, like the Sahara Desert?
A little bit, like where it meets the Mediterranean and stuff?
Yes.
It
looks like a giant wave swept out of the Mediterranean across North Africa into the Atlantic Ocean. When you zoom out, you can see like the striations on the Earth.
Or rings.
Yeah. That's no like evidence or whatever, but it's interesting to just zoom back and look at it. It's like, if that were a sandbox, if you're looking at a picture of a sandbox, you'd be like, oh yeah, clearly some kid took a bucket of water and dumped it through there.
Or it's
and that's what stripped off all the vegetation.
Or it's large too, stuff shrinking. Like a lake, as it constantly goes down.
Oh yeah.
You see those rings and it forms little
yeah.
due to water level and erosion, and those little waves constantly bouncing as it goes. Yeah, I mean, you hear the Greeks always talk about. That's why Greeks are kind of interesting history, because it's like, oh, you're a very interesting kind of culture. You adopted a lot of like poetry and theater and human emotion and thought and science, like even forms of Plato, Socrates, like all these great minds and stuff.
Yeah,
they even speak of like traveling to places like Egypt and unique spots throughout the world due to exchange of ideas and enlightenment and thoughts.
I wonder if the Greeks and Egyptians were the last civilization that incorporated a lot of like spirituality and emotionality into their mainstream kind of pop culture.
I think so.
Whereas the Romans became the first ones that the Romans went full like technological innovation. Right, aqueducts, military formations, fucking.
Yeah, but the Greeks were also. I mean, that's Hercules.
The Greeks combined it. The Greeks were advanced scientifically, but they combined it with philosophy and spirituality. Where the Romans let go of the spirituality and philosophy and just went full techno state, and that's kind of where. Well, hang on, that's like another parallel to when you say the Roman Empire never really died. It's just here now in a different name.
Yeah,
and here's a conspiracy theory. If you look on the back, what is the symbol of America? It's an eagle.
Yeah,
it's and now go look at the symbol of Rome. it's the same eagle.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Shouldn't Rome's be a wolf?
It should be Romulus and Remus.
Yeah, shouldn't that? And that's
Nope.
like,
But well, that would make sense.
Right?
However, the symbol of Rome was an eagle.
eagles just kick ass. What do you want me to say? I'm sorry. Eagles are going to cross over in coinage eventually. Dude. What do you want me to do?
True.
I think an eagle is cool. But I think, no, the difference between, for me, the Greeks and the Romans were like the Romans wanted conquest of the Roman Empire. The Greeks would fight and had people like the Spartans and stuff like that. And I think they were like a well-armed society and like capable society is good. And we will defend ourselves and, we won't take shit. But whereas Rome was like, let's just march. We're going to take over everything and put this under the umbrella. They wanted constant expansion. Greece was good enough with Greece and there's some of their islands, but it seemed like Greece kind of kept to that. They would have trade and were more so like seafaring trading. Whereas Romans were like, I'm a legion. That's all I do is march.
Yeah, and and it makes sense then that the Romans were the Stoics, like put your emotions down, don't pay attention to them, just continue. Pain is your growth, right?
Yeah.
And that led to where we are now, and like Western culture as we know it today is directly descendant of Rome.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it's such a broad map. Like when you look at that map of where Rome expanded at its peak.
And we talked about like how we don't have white people culture anymore because all of Europe used to be like Celtic and Germanic tribal peoples that were all wiped out by the Roman legions. So that was an entire genocide of
Whitey.
Yeah, cultures.
Yeah. Bunch of.
And that is part of the idea that Rome never died. It just changed its name and continued to grow. Because once Rome killed the Celtic culture in Europe, what came next? The Dark Ages under Catholic control.
Well, yeah, and you had a lot of church, but all that.
And look what it led to. It led to an entire age of literally called the Dark Age. And it wasn't until the Renaissance.
It's because they let the Irish get in charge. The Romans didn't get them, really. So you got a bunch of redheaded fucks coming over.
That was a direct result of Rome, followed by the Catholic Church rose out of Rome, right?
Yeah.
And then the two combined to become the dominant power in Europe.
Which is weird because the Romans killed Jesus. Mm-hmm. So
no shit.
It's like, what are you doing here, guys?
Yeah.
But it's the story. It sounds good. They need something to say.
Who?
Like the I don't know. It seems like if you're all making it. No. Like if that's eventually your story, like, yeah, so we will set up the church in Rome. It would be the Roman cathedral. It would be for Jesus. And it's like, wait, didn't the Romans kill Jesus? And
they did. And
yes, that is the point. We have him here. We love him. It's like, but you're the guys that killed him.
They murdered him.
It's the perfect.
And then
they
twisted his teachings and used it or changed it into a system of control called Christianity.
But that's any religion. It's not used by what it really is.
100%.
That's why
that's why I'm saying that was the change, because prior to Rome, you had the Greeks and the Egyptians who still honored the gods, right?
Yeah.
And Rome took Jesus' message, murdered him, and then used his message to create the Catholic, not his message, a very corrupted version of his message to create the Christian church and the Catholic church. And that creation of the Catholic church led, and the twisting of the real teachings led directly to the Dark Ages.
Do you think Jesus was a real guy?
Yes, but I don't think he was.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. He's a guy who got it, and he was teaching. He was spreading what he knew, and that was a direct. When you start freeing people in their mind, hang on, Mike, slow down, don't respond. Let me finish. When you start freeing people in their mind, they realize that they are their own authority. That's why I say I'm a pirate. Because
it gives you sovereignty.
Once I am a sovereign motherfucker, and you may be able to kill me, but you cannot force me to do anything I do not want to do. And once you start understanding that, you become a fucking problem to the control state.
Yeah.
Right? So Jesus was the original problem to the control state.
He was the rebel rouser. Yeah.
Because what did he say? He said, I don't have beef with the thieves. I don't have beef with the prostitutes.
Love them.
And he went into the temple and flipped the tables of the taxpayer or the tax collectors. Right? That was him getting expelled from the temple in Jerusalem, or I think it was in Jerusalem, because he went in, he was so mad at the tax collectors because they're taking
the people's money.
Yes.
Jesus was an independent. You're telling me Jesus was an independent?
Jesus was starting a fucking revolution is what was going on. So they fucking murdered him.
What are these taxes?
And then they used his teachings to create a corrupted establishment that taught people. Jesus was Stop. Jesus was teaching people, and it's still somewhat in his words in the Bible as they're translated.
Yeah.
God is within you.
Oh, yeah.
God is not
Absolutely.
external.
You are God.
So the church corrupted that. They said that God is external. And you must only, and you are born with sin. You're not born with sin. You are born beautiful and whole.
Yeah.
And Jesus was telling people this. He's telling people that they are born whole, they can become whole again, and that God is within them. They are a small piece of God. And so what the church did is flip that to God is external to you. You must repent for the sins that you were born with. So you're already born into shame. Right? And now you have to spend your life repenting to an external God so you can never get ahead. And so people spend their entire lives looking for this external approval. It's like external affirmations. We all have known people in our lives who drive us nuts because they're seeking affirmations.
Yeah.
Imagine spending your whole life seeking the affirmations of a God.
Yeah.
When the reality is God is within you.
Yeah.
And you can give yourself those affirmations. So Jesus was literally freeing people in their own minds, which makes them very difficult to control. So Rome had to kill him if they were going to, because he's starting a revolution. And then they twisted his message to create the actual control system.
Yeah.
And that directly led to a dark age.
So you think they were the ones that are like, oh, we put the boulder in front of the cave.
In case you guys wonder what I'm thinking about when I'm
later,
smoking pot in the woods by myself.
And then, wait, so the Romans made up the story of Jesus being like, we killed him and we put him in a cave with a boulder in front of it. And then 3 days later, he rose up. You're saying because Romans killed Jesus, right? The Roman centurions.
I think that's a story. Like it's a.
Because if he's a real guy,
I think it's that tale of. That's a case of telephone, because really what Easter is, it's a celebration. The new year is Easter, April 21st, which is the spring equinox, because that's when new life starts. Look around us. The plants are going fucking insane around us. All the baby animals, like baby rabbits, baby deer running around out in the yard. Fucking. Spring is the beginning of the new. So really Easter, the rebirth, right? Death and rebirth.
Oh, yeah.
In the winter, everything dies. Leaves turn brown. The grass turns shitty. Everything gets kind of dreary. And then in the spring, you have a rebirth. So that's what Easter is. You're celebrating the rebirth of, and actually, since it's the equinox, it's the point where days start getting longer in the summer.
But that's every season. So that's why seasons
it's all these things that white people culture, Celtic culture used to celebrate. They twisted it to a new message. Installed Christian programming into people that kept them looking for external affirmations. And when you're looking for external affirmations, I can control you. Because I will give you just a little bit, just a little nugget to make you like me. Like, I feel so good when Tobin talks to me because he gave me that little bit of external affirmation that I've really been seeking. But the reality is, if you can figure out how to affirm for yourself, you don't fucking need anybody. And then you become dangerous.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Well, that's human beings having, like, what is purpose? Like everyone says, find your purpose. And it's like, well, what is the point in finding that purpose? You're getting good at something, and it gives you a sense of being alive. Like, you know that if you do apply time at something, you can get good. It gives you gratification. It gives you satisfaction. And that's, I think, the point, like that is exactly, I think, therefore I am, right? Sounds so stupid, but it's like, well, what are you doing? I think. Okay, so what are you? I'm here. So what? I'm thinking. So what? I'm here. And it's that chicken or egg question. It's like, it's the point. The point is to figure out that you can do whatever you want, and you can find the point. You know, you can apply time and you can get good at mountain biking. You can apply time and get good at shooting. You can apply time and get good at reading. You can apply time and get good at making coconut waters. I don't care what it is. You can do anything you want. But for, I think, yeah, a control state, like, I don't know. A control state of like a religion to hold someone down. Like to take a story of someone that was alive and use them as a martyr. So it's like this guy was either a fake made up story or he was a real person.
And we've done it throughout. We still do it. What are Medal of Honor recipients? I mean, sure, we're
heroic stories.
Right, but at the same time, we're also using their story to promote goodwill. Like, hey, cheer for the Empire.
Look at what we're doing.
Look at what this guy did.
He loves his buddy.
It doesn't diminish from the heroics of it. It's in how it's used after the fact.
Don't you talk shit about John Basilone right now. You're going to hurt my World War heart too, buddy. Don't be like that.
That's a perfect example.
It's got a bridge in New Jersey. I'm sorry. I love John Basilone.
And you should.
Yeah.
Because what he did was heroic.
Yeah.
And then how was it used?
War bonds.
So
suddenly
it was very valuable, and they monetized him, right?
Yeah. They monetized him from the moment he signed up,
and it became a propaganda.
Yeah.
So yes, it was heroic. Yes, he's a fucking incredible Marine.
Yeah.
Also, yes, his story was twisted and used
for benefit of the system,
of the Empire.
He helped sell war bonds. Guadalcanal was one of the biggest fights, and he was a war hero from that.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, they used him to get as much money, and the U.S. paid for the war. I mean, the citizen, not the government. I'm saying the citizen paid for World War II, which is quite impressive if you look at the sheer size of the personnel needed and the equipment made and used in it.
It's almost, that's an interesting statement too, is that people were literally investing in the war the same way you would invest in stocks.
Yeah.
That is, I guess that would be the creation of the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
There's a random thought.
It was the market bell for fucking war profiteering. That was the open bell for war profiteering.
I think we call it a short episode right there because that was a lot of information. I feel like that was pretty deep.
Jesus?
Rome, Greeks, Egyptians, social programming.
I mean, that is pretty deep.
Fuck, we took it a lot of places.
You start talking about two-headed dogs.
Or we take another pee break and hit it again.
Oh, man. Hang on. Let's go back to Jesus.
All right.
Because you got me on Jesus.
No pee break, though?
Unless you got to pee.
I have 2 more drinks of beer, then I got to pee.
All right. We'll see this. Let me lead you in with the Jesus and why I wanted to keep going then.
Okay.
Like, Jesus, like, to me, existing in forming of Christianity, right? He was this guy that was born a Jew, and then he lost himself in the way of life. Oh, forgot Immaculate Conception. My bad. Virgin Mary was his mom, right?
Mary was his mother.
Yeah. So Virgin Mom, she didn't get fucked, is the story.
Yeah, right.
Right? So already it's like, wow, this is crazy. Yeah. This is the first ever where a god in our storyline, like I think it exists in other like polytheism, like Romans or Greeks, and then they're like, oh, this guy was half in, half out, and a god had a sex with a mortal, you know? And you would get a half-blood, like a Hercules, right? Wasn't he like a halfie or something like that? But it's weird to think that, okay, so here's the story of a guy
who Hercules and Achilles, some of the heroes were like half gods.
Yeah, exactly. So they didn't have all the full potential and
they had
rewards.
They had the connection to the humans, but also like the special, they had like cool bow staff skills and speed skills
arrows,
and stuff like that.
Hermes, you got some fast shoes. Atlas, you got to hold the world on your back like an asshole. Yeah. But it was kind of interesting too. Like I like the polytheism because certain gods were like, this is a human nature character, you know, and this represents.
And you're right. And so Achilles and Hercules, all those gods are present in every personality.
Yeah. And like a Zeus, like a bold, being the strong, the overseer, the protector, right? You can have...
They're tidbits of your personality. They collectively make up your personality.
And that's why I think polytheism, so that's why I do like...
It makes more sense.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, I loved, like, I grew up with a weird kind of household in religion where they're kind of like, yeah, everything's kind of cool, but like... I kind of got into Greek philosophy when I was a kid, and all the
as most of us
gods.
do.
Yeah, and I went nuts with it, and I really loved like Homer and the Iliad and the Odysseys and all these books, and it was interesting seeing like the conflict.
I like the movie with is it Kurt? No, not Jesus.
Kurt Russell?
No, that's what I was going to say. Not him. Is it Michael? Kirk Douglas? Is that the? That's Jason and the Argonauts.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
You've never seen that? Oh, we got to have a watch.
Is that an old one?
Yeah.
Is that where they have the skeleton guys fighting with the swords? Yep. Okay, I've seen that one.
All right. I think that's Kirk Douglas.
Oh, man, it's
not a tangent I want to go down. Sorry.
You watch some of those old movies about Greek and Rome from like the 50s and 60s. You're like, God, this is so tough to watch. It is so tough.
I like that shit, dude.
Oh, really?
I am Spartacus.
Spartacus was different. I mean, I am Spartacus.
Do you like movies about gladiators?
Love them. What are you doing Sunday morning for breakfast? You want to talk Gladiator? Your local establishment?
You ever been to a bathhouse?
Yeah. Ever been whipped with a eucalyptus branch?
Oh my God.
But polytheism is interesting compared to like a Jesus story, because it's like all of a sudden we hit this one point in like religion and gods where this one guy is now just all of a sudden he's the only son of man. And this religion gets spread throughout the world so fast, like a wildfire.
But you know, it's
interesting.
You
still do have as it happens, there's other religions like...
Well, the other two of the big three, Judaism and Islam, are kind of just variations of it, where it's like there is one God, there is one there's one savior, and it's a control mechanism.
But maybe it's not just control. Maybe it's a story, right? That really happened, each one is like this is how it happened.
It is social programming. Religion is social programming, unless they are teaching you that you are
I get
sovereign. Because all of these, I guess it would be the Abrahamic religions teach that God is external, and you must constantly be repenting or bowing or.
But that's what I mean.
They teach you to be subservient.
But if
God is within you, you are not subservient to jack and shit.
Yeah. But you have people hijacking old stories. Like, these stories are old. This Jesus is not the first time the story's been told of a guy like getting killed, put up on a cross, crucified. That's not the first guy to be reborn in stories.
Also, to be fair, let's say they tried this with like 20 revolutionaries. And Jesus is just the story that stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. George Washington is American Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's our, like,
he's
what we
infallible.
Get behind.
You don't want to hear that he was a shitty military commander. He made so many fucking mistakes.
Yeah.
Not a good officer. But he had the shining and the famous crossing on Christmas Day.
He had a lot of
they just fought a little skirmish and then they ran away. Like it was a successful raid, but it was a small unit raid. It wasn't like a decisive battle.
Dude, wasn't Benedict Arnold one of his
he was an officer in the Continental Army. I don't know where in the
I think he was one of his. He was a good dude until he betrayed the US.
Until then. Right up until that moment.
Solid guy. I think they had fought together in, what were they, French and Indian?
Yeah, you had the French and Indian War.
Because didn't the British...
the French... So the British were fighting the French in the French and Indian War.
Yeah. Didn't they ask Washington? Yeah.
I think I don't know if he participated in that one or not.
Yeah. I thought he did. That's why he got...
I know that Major Robert Rogers did, which you can hear all about in episode
Yeah, and even the end of that
5
book, Washington's like, hey, he's kind of a dick. And so, you're like, shit. Yeah. Huh. But it's weird how these people keep getting used over and over. But I say it too because it's like well, I kind of like I don't like the idea, but I do think there was a major impact about 12,000 years ago to 10,000, you know? And it's like,
I think it's undeniable.
yeah. And it's like, what did that do to like, I feel like all these religions are like the leftover echoes of
everybody talks about the flood.
Yeah, but that's like the echoes. It's like, no, this guy was killed, and then it's like, and he was important, but then it's like, well, at the beginning of that book, it's like some older stuff, and you see that, and it's like it's Judaism, and you're like, oh, this is the Torah. That's the kind of older stuff, and they're even like, yeah, and there's kind of older stuff before this, and it's like, that's when that cataclysm happened.
And what's in the Vatican vault? Probably all the history from like the antediluvian history, pre-flood.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Atlantis.
That killed himself.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein, yeah.
It's Atlantis and Epstein.
Dude, Michael Jackson.
That's where Epstein's hanging out.
Michael Jackson, Tupac.
Epstein, Tupac, Biggie, Michael Jackson. They're all in fucking Atlantis. We're coming back after a pee break. All right. Low Earth orbit.
So
you had brought up Jesus. And then
Jesus
totally deviated.
But I think it's weird to like think that maybe there's all these religions are kind of that, because then you get into Hinduism and stuff, and it's a crazy old
still so maybe India is the one place where, or not really India, but like the
India.
What do they call it? Not Asia Minor is like the one place where polytheism is still
going on and rocking. Was that like Napoleon? Where's Asia Minor?
I don't know. I think it's like India and like East Asia, Vietnam.
Sounds
Cambodia,
like a music note. Play Asia Minor.
Maybe Pakistan's considered in there a little bit.
Huh. Yeah, because that's right. Pakistan, India. I don't know, but they have
Pakistan's like the blending line where you go from Islam, mono, one God
Muhammad
to
and them.
Yeah.
But he's not even a god. Like, isn't he supposed
Muhammad's
to be a prophet?
The prophet of the one true God.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus is the prophet of the like.
No, but Jesus is the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Well, I guess that's in the heavy Catholic Church.
Yeah.
But
the details are different, but Jesus is the one prophet of the one God. Muhammad is the one prophet of the one God.
Yeah.
All external.
Who do you think would win
all
in a
external
fight?
Yeah.
Is this what, dude? Are we gonna get in trouble saying these things?
Probably. YouTube already hates us.
Yeah, it's not well for us and them, but we'll give them content anyways. You're welcome, YouTube.
As I regress further and further away from civilization and technology, at some point you're just gonna have to come find me in the woods if you want to hear these talks. I'll send you a grid.
Yeah, give them a compass.
Give them an 8-digit grid. If you want to hear what I think, find me there.
You can find me at your local Walmart, Chipotle.
You can find Mike.
Chat.
You can find Mike at your local coffee stand, except for the ones that have restraining orders against him. That list is growing, by the way.
I said no cream, motherfucker. Yeah, but the religion thing is weird, and it's weird to be that like in points throughout history, people have used God like as like the rule, like God will. I talk to like you said, the dark
new
ages.
Rule. I have a new rule. This is unrelated. Being too stoned is a legitimate excuse to end a podcast. You may continue.
Dude, you can't throw that out there at me. It's gonna hurt you. It's good content.
Yeah. Oh God.
What were we talking about?
You were talking about something.
Probably God.
Yeah.
Religion. God.
Monotheistic versus polytheist.
Polytheism's just fun, dude.
I agree.
It's way better than saying I have one God.
It lends itself back to that sort of philosophical nature where you understand that these different gods are not, they're not entity. Well, they're both. They're entities that are out there in reality, but they also are present within you. So they command a small piece of your personality, and you have to keep them all in balance.
Yeah. But isn't at the end of the day, it's just like understanding who you are? Why do you think the tool of God was invented? Do you think it's something we inherently have, or
it's every explanation of where we came from starts with a single point of all information and knowledge consolidated. Whether we're talking the singularity of the Big Bang or God before he moved upon the waters and created space in which to experience himself. It always comes from one point. The singularity, that it was all mass, energy, and information that ever was, is, or will be.
Yeah.
And then it sprang forth from there into creation and existence. So really, more and more science is a religion with its own dogmas, but science is saying the same fucking thing. The Big Bang is the same as the first fucking couple paragraphs of Genesis.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, that's probably where they got it. They're like, shit, we need to figure out a way to describe where the universe came from in order for people to go full dive into science as a religion. And so they're like, all right, how do we rewrite Genesis using sciencey words? Oh, we'll call it the singularity and then just apply some numbers to it, like velocities and energy, this many kilojoules were expanded. So then the sciencey people buy in, but it's the same fucking story. It's literally the same story.
Do you think during whatever this happening was,
the Big Bang,
the happening was, do you think when that happened, all information and things to be known was known as that happened, or the universe is still learning as it goes? Information is still being understood by the creator.
I think all information existed.
So it was put out in a code like that. That's the doctrine, and nothing.
There's nothing new under the sun. All information, all energy, and all matter that is, was, or will, and really matter is just light and information at the very fundamental levels of quantum physics, which is another fascinating thing, is that quantum physics and religion are colliding right now.
Oh, yeah. Always have.
Yeah. And so at fundamental level, nothing is solid. Everything is made out of carrier waves of light encoded with information. And so that's what the Big Bang was. There was a singularity called the singularity, all energy and information that ever was, is, or will be, which sounds a lot like a way, like if you said, how would you describe God? All energy or information that ever was,
what is, can, or will.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Him. Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like however you want to tell the story, whether you want to use terms from Christianity or Judaism or Islam or the religion of science and the Big Bang, it's all telling the same fucking story. Do you know sacred geometry, Mike?
No.
Okay. I'll have to send you some videos, but really,
I've heard it and stuff, but I can't.
The way you start is with a single point, a singularity. And then before there can be anything else, you have to draw a second point. And then when there's 2 points, then you can create a line.
Yeah.
So now you've created two different things, you've created a point and a line. And now with 2 points and a line, you can create a circle with a compass. And now you have a circle, a point, a radius,
just a
and
building
a circle.
Of geometry.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is sort of like the fun, and that alone right there,
it's like fractals.
There's the story of the Big Bang of creation again, from a single point, another single point.
But that is
line,
the universe learning, though. Yes. That is the universe not saying, I know everything.
But it had to split itself first into 2 points. And only after it split itself.
True. But
and that's why our universe is binary. It's 2 points experiencing each other.
Yeah.
And their relationship in relativity to each other. That's why relativity is fundamental.
Yeah.
But, and then from there comes everything. But all that information already existed because it split itself and then it spun around itself to create a radius and a circle. But all that information was already there, contained within it.
The information or the ability?
Because you can go backwards. You can collapse the circle to 2 points and a line, collapse the line, and then collapse the 2 points back into 1 point, into the singularity. And all the information is there. All the information is there. This is fractal universe theory also, which is where when you keep zooming in and you just find the same thing over and over again, because every single small piece of the whole contains the information of the whole.
Yeah. It applies to all sciences and mathematics and everything. Yes. There's a language. Yes, Agreed. But I think the universe still struggles with it, doesn't have it automatically figured out. Like if you think of a cell, like a single cell.
It doesn't figure anything out because the information already exists.
Does it though?
Yes.
Or is it like as the struggle, like that's like saying a single cell organism that reproduces asexually by splitting in two knows that it's eventually going to have the ability in its genealogy or genealogy through evolution. It knows that it's going to become a monkey. I don't think that is true.
I
think the universe.
I question evolution.
Well, how do you, so then it's just, these things, how do like monkeys come about compared to like an eggling, like a duck?
I think we live in a universe of creation where humans were created, monkeys were created.
Yeah, but how do you get them all on one planet then?
I can't answer that.
No, I can't. Unless it's like we're a farm, throughout the galaxies.
Actually, so you have beings of higher coherency. Right, so you have differing in the binary universe. You have coherent and incoherent as one axis. So beings of a higher level of coherency tend to attract beings of lower coherency toward them as they pull them. It's like a gravitative effect.
Yeah, or heavier, denser.
The Earth is a being of high coherence, and it creates in its circumference beings of lower coherence, including us. And then you have animal, like I literally had a thought out here because I was looking at all these huge trees and there are a couple that need to get dropped. And I was like, in my way of thinking here where I hate just fucking killing things to kill it. I was like, what is the logic behind cutting down a few trees? Cause I got to cut down some trees and then I need firewood and I got no problem getting out the chainsaw and getting busy. It's like, oh, these trees are of a lower coherence being. They do not have individual consciousness. They are part of a collective consciousness of trees. So you can cut one or two down as you need to, and it doesn't affect the higher sort of conglomerate of trees. It's like you could, if you plucked a single hair out of your head, it doesn't affect the rest of your hair.
Yeah.
Like the rest of your hair is still your hair.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit, you can cut down a tree because you're just cutting down a hair, one of many, that is a less coherent entity living on the surface of this more coherent entity, which circles the center of our little system, which is our fucking sun, which is in this solar system, the sun is the entity of the highest coherence because it has the most gravitative effect, to which all of the slightly less or even fucking much less or much more incoherent entities are all sort of circling. And that's some deep hippie woo-woo shit.
Some might say the deepest.
The deepest.
I don't even know what my original question is, but I love it. No, man, the universe is figuring it out. It doesn't know. I think what the event is like existence, the ability
you're right. It doesn't know.
Right? And so not all the math is there. Like if it started like even go like like you're saying, you have to start with a single point in your sacred geometry, or go hippie goes physicist, like where it's like, okay, it was hot plasma and then we had hydrogen and helium, most abundant on the periodic table, right? Here's the first cooling elements in the periodic chart. We can trace things down to this. Those clustered together in clouds, you get stars, planets, boom, boom, element, it's like, the universe is figuring out how to do it. I think what's interesting is the Big Bang is existence, like the ability to, like the universe snapped and said, whatever.
Boom, here it is.
Whatever. No, just it is. And let's just, it is. And after long enough it ising, existence ising, more ising happened and you started collecting, right? You started getting things cooling off, or you started collecting matter, and it's like you have to admit there is existence.
It went from incoherence to a
it just is. There are things out here, right? And I think that universe, that's how like, to me, that's what everything is going from no understanding into learning it. I can see the progression of my life from going as a toddler where I knew nothing. Don't get me wrong, I had senses, and that it's interesting with epigenetics and what are characteristics passed on to people, what are inherent memories maybe passed on. But I think like they're figuring it out as they go. Like, I'm figuring out life as I go. The universe must mimic, say it in all languages. You should be able to express this, whether it's math or science. Here's a limited understanding. Here's a more advanced understanding. My God, he was a Jesus, right? He knew not who he was, but then he's had a vision and he knew he was the Son of God. I'm figuring it out. Progression. I think the existence of the universe is figuring out how it is going to unfold. Like I was saying with like evolution, you can take a single cell that reproduces asexually by splitting in half, but eventually over time, that splitting, it's going to learn to, I like to do this a little different. And all of a sudden, I split in half, and so does this other one. But now we're going to start mushing genital parts,
bumping uglies.
And we're making a new type of cell. Just letting it happen. It is. Here's just space, the ability. And now evolution's figuring out, oh, shit, I can use a dick in a receptor.
But the way...
This is a bad...
Thank God we don't have a camera.
I'm a bad teacher.
No shit. Imagine Mike teaching 7th grade sack. Like, so what you do.
See, this Coke bottle and this donut represent love.
Welcome to Sex Ed with Mike Kozak.
All sweaty in front of the class. Super embarrassed.
Yeah. I didn't know tank tops weren't part of the dress code.
Yeah. Mr. Kozak.
Yeah. Well, fuck, that just derailed. What was I about to say?
Existence, life. The universe is figuring it out. I don't think just like the math. I think math is being figured out as it's like.
Oh, I was going to say the reason I question evolution is I think DNA came from somewhere else. I think DNA is coded information from a higher plane that is, and in. This ties into like holographic universe theory a little bit, where the source has to shine through the two-dimensional, basically, record of information. You can call it the Akashic record. You can call it a holographic fucking prism. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. But a source energy has to shine through the prism, creates the hologram. Cruising altitude, standby, turbulence, folks. Buckle your seatbelts.
Tray tables up.
Seats in the upright position.
Observable universe is just up ahead. Can see it nicely over the horizon.
Yeah.
Hit the trim.
Huh. Well, thanks for listening to the Enlightened Neanderthals podcast. Mike, I say we walk down in the woods and eat some mushrooms.
All right, sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, folks.